War War Eagle, everybody. We are back. The War Rapport. Yes, indeed. Man, Ike Jones here. As always, I just want to make sure that you all know what's up. If you are on YouTube, make sure you're clicking that like and subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook right now, go over to YouTube, click like and subscribe. We need to get those followers up. Anyway, you can hit us also on the social media situation. We are the War Report on Twitter and IG. We also have a page on Facebook, the War Report. And we now have a TikTok, TW Report. So if you are on TikTok, you can follow us there for some hot takes throughout the week. Anyway, Caesar, what's up, man? How you feeling about today?
The way I feel every Saturday morning with Auburn football, man, nervous. A lot
Yeah,
of new moving parts, but we're gonna see what these guys got this morning against Kentucky.
you know, I gave my prediction in the show the other day, and to be honest, I'm not 100% confident in that prediction just because I don't know what I'm going to actually see from our boys today. But I'm still going to be cautiously optimistic as a complete homer and see if we can pull out this victory today. Mike G should be joining us shortly, ladies and gentlemen, if you are waiting on him. But, you know, I think today the big thing for me is I just want to see the improvement on the offense that we were promised under this new coach. And we'll see what happens with it. Chad Morris, his first game as the offensive coordinator, Bo Nix in year two. Can we see the offense take a step? We've got we don't have our returning lead rusher, but we do have guys that were in the backfield. So they're not going to be new to SEC play. They're not going to be new to game day environment, anything like that at
Right.
the college level. But we do have a retooled line on both offense and defense. And so those are the things that you have to worry about coming into a game like this.
Absolutely, man. And actually, you want to talk keys to the game. The key to Auburn being able to take the next step offensively will be the offensive line because that has been our Achilles heel over the past few seasons. The reason why we haven't had 1,000-yard rusher in 2 seasons is because our O line have
Hmm.
not been able to open up and create holes or give the quarterback time to work, and it has made us kind of one dimensional, really zero dimensional
Yeah,
offensively because we haven't been able to run or throw
yeah,
with any type of consistency. So it'll be interesting to see with the new O line coach, a new O line, what those guys can do, and if Chad Morris can really get into his offense and allow Bo Nix to flourish.
yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how the offense is able to stay ahead of the change because that's always been the big thing. And we're going to bring Mike in here in just a minute. That's always been a big thing with Gus Malzahn offense is if you're behind in the change, you essentially don't have a prayer because he doesn't have a lot of great plays drawn up for 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, third and 15, right? Like the offense just isn't made to be in those types of situations. That's not always been traditionally the case for Chad Morris offenses, but he is another. I mean, no offense likes to be behind the chains, right? But Gus Malzahn specifically, like just the way that the offense was built, it's built on chipping away at it, getting ahead of the chains, moving with pace, and then once you've got all those linebackers and those safeties coming downhill to try to stop the run, then you throw something over the top, or you're hitting them with little quick out patterns on the outside to try
Mm-hmm.
to get everyone playing up, cheating up, playing up, cheating up, playing up, and then you want to pop something long, right? And that's
Right.
been his calling card. Chad Morris is really more of like a ball control type of offense where it's going to be short passing games. It's going to be a lot of quick slants. It's going to be a lot of bubble screens. It's going to be a lot of mixing in run and pass just to keep them honest. But it also requires a lot more out of his quarterback to be able to do more things. Like he doesn't put a lot of reads on him, but he does. He has a lot more variety in the types of passes that Bo Nix will be required to make on a consistent basis. So we will see, just how good a quarterback Bo Nix is this year, just because of what he's going to be required to do with his arm.
Yeah, and I think with this offense, it's going to require defenses to be more disciplined in terms of their assignments because in this offense, more people are getting the ball.
Right.
You have to account for the tight end now. Running backs are coming out of the backfield catching passes. So if you're not a disciplined defense, with Kentucky has a lot of respect for being a good defense under Mark Stoops, but if you're not disciplined, Chad can really take advantage of your weaknesses and exploit you.
Yeah.
So I think that's something different to see is how many passes these tight ends are going to be catching out of the backfield. What are the running backs are going to be doing? They're not going to be in pass protection every play now. So again, you're forcing the defense to have to play 11 on 11 for the most
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
as opposed to just having to only be concerned about a few people. So I think that'll be the most interesting to see is how we're able to stretch out their defense and play the matchups game.
Yeah.
So and that's something I've always wanted to see in our offense. We've always had the athletes. I want to see what we do. I want to see what we do with Schwartz. I want to see what he looks like in this new offense. People that we know have had a lot of talent, but have only been utilized in one way. Even Sean Shivers, he was a speed sweep guy.
Right.
I want to see what he looks like in this offense. We've heard a lot of good things from him in fall camp. So I'm curious to see what that looks like when they touch the field this morning.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing that I am hoping to see as a change in this offense is really putting our athletes in a position to be successful on offense. I think we've had good athletes, probably not, stellar guys, but like, can you put those guys in position to do what they do best, right? Like, we've got one of the best 50-50 receivers out there. Over the last couple of years, he's shown that over and over again. We've got one of the fastest guys in college football out there, and that's not even debatable. We've
Right.
got, the small diminutive back that can do a lot, when he's in open space. We've got, some power backs that are back there. Are we going to be able to utilize this three-headed monster in the backfield? We've got new receivers that are apparently really good possession receivers, so they're going to be good in positions where they just have to win initially and make the catch. Are they going to have sure hands in their first college football game? Are they going to be able to break tackles and get runs after the catch? We'll see how those things materialize. But like you said, discipline on defense is going to be key. That's actually, a good thing for Kentucky, considering the fact that they're bringing back a lot of continuity on the defensive side of the ball, and they've been pretty disciplined. But the frustration with a Gus Malzahn or even a Chad Morris offense is you can be disciplined all you want to and just give up those short intermediate gains, and you get frustrated after a time because it's like they're just chipping away at us 3 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards at a
Right.
time. And here's Mike jumping in right here. If they're chipping away at you 3, 5, 6 yards at a time, at some point in time, that discipline goes out of the window. So it's about who breaks discipline first. Is it going to be, the play caller saying, man, all right, we need to go try for, a home run here, and or some crazy trick play? Or is he going to say, all right, if you're just going to keep giving me a soft cushion on the outside, or you're going to dare me to run the ball, I'm just going to continue to do what's working. And I think
With tempo.
as a fan of Auburn for the last couple of years, I want to see a guy who's committed to, this is what you're going to give me. I'm going to continue to take it until you prove you can stop it.
Right.
Get first downs, keep moving the ball down the field, and be successful in the red zone. Because again, Gus Malzahn, traditionally awful in the red zone. If he gets beyond 30 yards out, the team usually stalls and we have to kick field goals just because he did not have the type of offensive strategy that did well within the 20-yard zone. It required space. It required, a vertical passing threat or something like that, or we needed a
Mm-hmm.
long run to get into the end zone. It typically wasn't good in short yardage situations unless you had, a Cam Newton type quarterback who was able to just kind of get you 3 or 4 yards just by falling down, right? So looking forward to see what Chad Morris can do about chipping away at the defense, getting us points in the red zone that are not field goals. Let's get sevens, sixes instead of threes, right? And I want to see if that's going to be a reality under Chad Morris. I'm going to give Mike an opportunity to hop in here. Mike, what's up, man?
What's going on, fellas? Happy game day.
Yeah.
Sorry for the technical difficulties to start the broadcast this morning. Um, just kind of listening to what you guys are hitting on this morning. I think that's right on. Is Gus going to medal? I'll break it down for you. Real simple. Is he going to medal? Are we going to see something brand new, or are we going to see more of the same from this offense? Earlier this week, you and I talked about how in this offense, your short passing game sometimes is your running game. Well, we got no
Mm-hmm.
Boobie Whitlow, so I'll be interested to see which back steps up in lieu of that. Underrated storyline. Our backup quarterback is brand new, so should Bo Nix get hurt in this game, right? We've got the guy from Bowling Green that's going to step in here, and with essentially only a spring, barely a spring, because of COVID and a little bit of a fall. So we'll today I'm just hoping we'll see something different than what we've seen. Gus when he's calling plays, it's worked in spurts, right? He had a great run, through the 2014-15 national championship. After that, play calling has been suspect at best. And the talent, I think we can all agree the talent is there, right? Just how well did we do compared to the other schools in the SEC developing that talent over what was a very challenging spring and summer, right? A lot of routines were changed. I'm ready to see how well this organization, I'll call it, was managed since March.
Right.
And because we're all SEC play, we get to find out week 1.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that has me again cautiously optimistic is I know we have the talent, right? Like it's just about what they're going to be able to produce on the field. That's the only thing that has me confident that our defense can at least keep us in a game if we're in a dogfight. Is I know that the defensive side of the ball has been consistent over the last 3 years. Now we are going to find
Right.
out if that consistency was because you had a guy or two guys really on that defensive line that you knew were going to be there and they were going to be absolutely unblockable consistently. You had to game plan for them week in and week out just to make sure you stop them. Did they make this defense look better than what they actually are? Or is this a defense that is because the coaches put them in a position to be successful? We're going to find that out really quickly this season, whether or not we were a product of Derek Brown or we are a product of good coaching. It's going to
I
be that
agree.
simple.
Right.
Yeah.
On defense, I think it's a product of good coaching.
Yeah.
Personally.
I don't disagree with you. I
Right.
actually think Kevin Steele's a great coordinator, but I just wonder if the talent level made our defense look unstoppable or this juggernaut, or if it was just like, hey, we really just have some guys that are, we've recruited well on defense. We've recruited well everywhere. Like we've got 4 or 5-star guys out there. We've even got really talented 3-stars out there, right? But are those guys going to be able to produce on Saturdays? We don't know yet because we haven't seen a lot of these guys play.
Well, it helps definitely having 2 studs on the defensive line the past 3-4 seasons. But you have to tip your hat off to Rodney Gardner, who's done a great job of not only recruiting but developing guys.
Right.
And it just seems to be like next player up.
Yeah.
Of course, man, I'm interested to see this Colby Wooden guy. And I want to see what he does. He's got some big shoes to fill on the D line, but I'm pretty sure that the D line, of course, it's going to take them. It may take them a minute in this game to kind of assert itself, just because of the newness of it all, going against an experienced O line. But I think this D line will turn out to be a really good one for us in the future. Maybe even today. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about the defense just because I trust the defensive staff. The thing I worry about on defense, and we talked a little bit about this before the camera started, Caesar, was this quarterback that's for Kentucky. He's a dual threat guy, and that's always been traditionally for Kevin Steele defenses. It's been an Achilles heel, right? Because you've got these great rushers up front, and a lot of their assignment is just to get after it, right? Like their job is typically in the middle to hold blocks so you can have your linebackers roam free, and on the ends to just crash and cause havoc. But you had a Derek Brown in the middle who was a pass rush from the middle, so it made it really tough for offensives to scheme and game plan against that. But what you see is aggressive pass rushes are often beat because they're not disciplined in their rush lanes. And you have a quarterback that can escape that, or a designed run where you've got linebackers that are blitzing to that aren't. It's not an A gap blitz, or they're taking themselves out of the play, and quarterback takes off for 20, 15 yards on a 3rd and 7, right?
Right.
I don't want to see that a lot today, but the quarterback has the ability to do that. That's on that side of the ball. So we'll see how disciplined they are and how much our linebackers can really play spy and play very disciplined against him and make sure he's contained, because that's an absolute threat from their end on the quarterback side.
Right. And again, I know I keep living here, but the D line is going to play a big part in that.
Right.
What you don't want to see is their O line getting to the second level and affecting the play of our linebackers, because we do have experienced guys back there in KJ Britt. Owen Papo has a year up under his belt. He was a 5-star recruit kid. So you got talent back there and you have experience. So the hope is that you'll see discipline with these guys. They've seen offenses similar to what Kentucky likes to do. They've seen dual threat quarterbacks. So the idea is that these guys have been there, done that, and they can rely on their experience, and and their talent to kind of neutralize what Kentucky wants to do today.
Yeah.
So that'll be the key to me.
Yep. Looking forward to seeing that play out, that interplay between our linebackers and really their running backs who are effective. And well, their run game altogether with the quarterback. Not to say that the guy can't throw, because he definitely has the ability to throw. But the dual threat nature of quarterbacks is always something that you have to make sure you're accounting for, as you're talking about playing 11 on 11. Like that guy has to be accounted for every snap as well as a possibility to take off running. So we'll see what happens with that. Smoke Monday, he's another year more experience. He's a guy that I expect to make an impact on the defensive side of the ball. Again, for that same reason as maybe a guy in the box, an extra defender down there, being able to spy on a runner, a running quarterback, and really make plays in the backfield if they're bringing him on blitzes. He had a high blitz rate last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing Smoke Monday make some impacts on this game. Hopefully, he also has been tossed out of a few games over the last couple of years for targeting. So hopefully, he's gotten that under control. And a couple of them that I remember were kind of bogus, but like he's a guy who likes to throw his body around. He wants to make big hits and big plays. So we'll see how he's able to impact the game on the defensive side of the ball. Are there any players who you guys are just really like, I want to see this guy show up, or I expect to see him show up this game?
For me, it's no one. I mean, of course, the obvious, you can go with our quarterback. I mean, where he goes, we've gone in the past year. But I want to go with Tut, Christian Tut. Special teams is going to be important for us with a lot of new guys on both sides of the ball. So field position is going to be important for us. And if Tut can get the opportunity to flip the field for us, that will be crucial for our offense. So I'm going with Tut.
That's a good one. Mike, anybody who you are hoping from a big game from, expect to see big things from this game?
You know what? You kind of stole my thunder with Smoke Monday. I think everybody needs to remember that we lost a DB to the first round of the draft last year.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it, but we did. Noah is gone, and he's got. It's funny. Like I think he was very underrated as a DB, and covering all the number one wide receivers in our league. But he did a good enough job. He had a great combine, so he's out of here. We've had some pretty good corners over the last few years. So I'm really looking at Smoke to see. I mean, he had that big pick six, right? There's something about ball hawks, about people, guys who just have a feel for the ball. Smoke seemed like he was developing that last year, and so I'll be interested to see, how he does today in this scheme. And even if Kentucky throws it enough. Because you mentioned again, they got a dual threat guy, right? Like if they throw it enough to even keep Smoke honest, because one of the things he was sneaky good at last year was the corner blitz, right, or the nickel blitz, and they would bring him off the edge, and he would just kind of slide in the backfield. He was very skilled at getting off the tackle from bigger guys and getting to the quarterback. So he had a few sacks last year. I'll be watching to see if they use him that same way today.
Yeah, definitely think that him being able to be that spy, that additional guy in the box, because Kentucky they're a run team. They're definitely a run first team. They were more of a run first team last year when they were playing a lot of Wildcat. They literally had a running back playing playing quarterback. This year they have a guy who can actually throw the ball, so we'll see how that works out. Another guy, since you went the Smoke Monday direction, Roger McCreary. He was a guy who I had a lot of hope in. coming into this season. I'm hoping on the defensive side of the ball that he can be an impact player and really step in as that number one outside DB. He showed good ability in coverage. He had a couple of pass interference calls in the season, but a year better, a year more experience. I'm hoping he can really be a guy on the outside that can take away some, at least make it to where blitzing is not going to be problematic for us, right? Like if you've got guys that can lock up on the
Right.
outside, then you can bring more guys to stop the run. We've got a comment here from my man Keontes, who said he's hoping Flash can make a big impact this season more than he has in the last couple of years. That's all going
All
to be
right.
on game plan and getting the ball in his hands and opportunities where he's going to be able to be successful, not just
Right.
on speed sweeps or drags under a little drag route underneath. You definitely want to get him in space and make sure that you are scheming him open. He's a guy that needs to be schemed open. He's got enough speed though that if your offensive line is doing what it needs to do, that if he threatens the vertical and he makes a stop route, he's likely going to be wide open. You can't cover him man. There's literally, I don't know that there's a guy in college football that can man up on Anthony Schwartz and be successful because he's faster than your fastest guy. And if he puts on the brakes and that guy's playing an off coverage, that's a 5-6 yard cushion off top. And then if he's in a back pedal and you're delivering the ball on time to him, he's going to be open. It's
Yeah,
just a matter of
but
timing.
he's been made of glass the last couple of years. I mean, listen, just he's fast, but throw a banana peel out and he's out for the season, right? Like that's been our experience with Anthony Schwartz. We keep, he is fast. Nobody's denying his speed, but so here's what I would like to see, right? Let's stop throwing the ball to him over the middle where he's getting killed. Right, because I don't know, bulking up in the offseason to be able to take hits isn't really a thing for him because he runs track in the offseason.
Right.
Right, so I mean, at some point he's a speed guy. You got to protect him, and he's good for a couple of games, and then even if he plays beyond that, he's got nagging injuries for the entire season, and so the storyline becomes, well, Schwartz isn't 100%, or we don't know if he's going to go. I think he actually broke a finger last year as well too. I remember him playing with a cast, and they sent him out there, and I was real excited about Anthony Schwartz, but I'm more excited to see if he can stay healthy. And again, I keep going back to off-season management. How well was this organization run? And the offseason, how good was the strength and conditioning during COVID? Right? That's the number one reason you train is to prevent injury.
Right.
We have a bunch of injuries. We can assume something about how the offseason program went. So I'm excited that this is our first game. Right?
Because it's not a cupcake game. It's a game where you're going to get some experience on the other. We're going to know what we have pretty early in this season because Kentucky is the first game of the season. They're going to be disciplined, they're experienced. So it's going to be a game where if we're really ready, then we win this game. Now, whether we win it going away, that's to be seen. But if we are ready and we win this game, that bodes really well for the remainder of the season. If we look terrible against Kentucky, then, we're looking at another 50, 50-50 season, 50%, on the season. And that's not what I want to see from our team. I really want to see us get over the hump at some point in time with the tremendous amount of talent that we recruit every year coming into fruition. I just looked at the depth chart. I did not realize this, but Matthew Hill is on the defensive side of the ball now.
Yeah,
they moved him over.
It's disappointing for me because Matthew Hill's one of those guys. When he came in, I was super excited about his ability to be an open field playmaker. And he just never materialized into that for whatever reason. So, Noah made the transition a couple of years ago from wide receiver to cornerback, and he's in the NFL right now, first round draft pick. We'll see if Matthew Hill has that competitive fire to be able to do that and make that transition. He's a backup cornerback, but he's still on that side of the ball right now. Any other keys to victory you guys can see from the offensive side? We talked about, the Anthony Schwartz factor. Let's not forget that we still have Eli Stove, who is going to be out there as an experienced guy who can do a lot of that speed sweep type of stuff, and he can be a short distance receiver, quick in and out of the breaks type of receiver. Any other guys on the offensive side of the ball that, hey, I need to see something from this guy. Show me something this year or this game specifically.
The entire offensive line, right? Like we lost some guys on offensive line too. Like it's funny, lost in, the shutdown was, I think, how much we had to replace,
Yeah.
And, if Bo Nix has not taken the next step, then I shudder to think like, well, what if we can't protect him this year? We might have a losing record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it comes down to how well they can run block. If they can run block well, that covers a multitude of sins, because you're able to stay ahead. And I said this earlier in the broadcast, stay ahead of the chains. We want to be able to get 3 and 4 yards a clip on the ground to make it to where we're in third and super manageable, where the decision for Bo Nix is, maybe some sort of quick option or a run pass option to the outside, and he can get it with his legs possibly, because Bo Nix has shown his ability to pick up first downs on the outside with that sort of thing. We don't want to be in a position consistently, not saying ever, but consistently where we're in third and long and we have to put the ball in his hands to make the right decision down the field.
Yeah, see, like I disagree though. Like I know I agree, but I disagree. Right? Like I agree that we don't want that, but I disagree that he has to be able to do that. That's why I don't think that it's run blocking that's the key. I think it's pass blocking that's the key. I mean, what we've seen consistently in the SEC over the last few years is that you have to throw the football to win, right? And so, like, if when we're running, and it's Gus Malzahn offense, when they're running and they're doing options, and Bo Nix is no Cam Newton, right? I wore the Cam Newton jersey just to remind y'all what greatness was this morning, but they are not going to. What happens when Alabama loads the box and says, beat me with your arm? Like, against the better teams in the SEC, that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to stop your run. And, I don't know if you guys remember. So I'll give you an example, because I think it's relevant, even though it was a long time ago, because it was a Gus Malzahn offense. 2010, what made that offense so nasty is that for the first every game up until Bama, you knew what we were going to do. We were going to line the ball up, and we were going to run some sort of option with Cam. The ball was going to be in Cam's hands, running, throwing, like, it was unstoppable because you knew kind of what we were going to do, but you couldn't stop it. Right. And we don't really have that this year until we got to Bama that year. And Bama, what did they do? They loaded the box and they said, none of that. And we were down 24-0. And the only way to come back in that game against the better teams was for Cam to throw the ball. That's I'm telling you, that game he played himself into, first overall pick in the NFL draft. And that's what you're going to have to do at the end of the day to beat Saban and Georgia. Now,
no, I'm not disagreeing. He needs to be able to show that. I'm talking about specifically for this game, they need to run block well and give him an opportunity to get comfortable in this new offense. I need to see short third.
What I'm saying is Kentucky, this is the first game of the year, so this is the only game they've had to prepare for. So if you watch last year's tape, right, I think you should count on them making us do something else, right? Because what you're saying is our guys got to line up versus their guys in the run game and just beat them. And I'm not sure that we can do that. With this
one of the things that I mentioned, Mike, early on is what I like about this offense under Chad Morris, assuming he's able to run it. That's different from Gus Malzahn is that this offense actually makes you have to have a disciplined defense to account for everybody on our offense, right? So even if you're put into a situation where you have to throw the ball, last year and years prior, I mean, our quarterback was doing 5-step drops and waiting for receivers to go 20 yards down the field.
Right.
Now
you got slant routes.
Like 3 routes the whole season.
Right. You got slant routes. You have to account for a tight end. The running back could be coming out the backfield. Like we even put into passing situations, even if you force us to throw, we have a much more competent passing strategy this year. At least that's what we've been told, right? So I think I'm looking forward to teams doing exactly that, trying to stack the box and make us throw, because now we can showcase that we can actually throw the ball within reason in intermediate routes, something we was not doing consistently before.
Okay, so to that point, right? Like I agree with everything you just said. If we can pass block, right? Like the earlier in the week, we talked about the 5-step drop, holding on to the ball, exactly what Caesar just said. We covered that, and we said, hey, listen, if he made some bad decisions when he had too much time to think about it. And we were bemoaning all season, where are the slants? Where are the throws that gets the ball out of Bo's hands quickly, right? And where are the routes? Like, man, I swear, since Trooper Taylor was here, like, it's like our receivers just forgot how to run anything but a go route or a wide receiver screen. So some creativity in that department as well, too. I mean, again, all the better quarterbacks in the league, right? Like, they either have time to throw, right? Or the offense just always puts them in a position to make the right play. I mean, look what's happening again, I keep referencing NFL, but it's Auburn related, right? Like, look what's happening in the NFL right now with Cam, right? The Panthers wrote Cam off, and almost no other team would touch him. And as soon as I heard he was going to the Patriots, I was like, oh, this is about to be lit. I'm getting a New England Cam jersey. It's going to be on. And through his first 2 games, he's looked MVP form through the first 2 games, playing in an offense with receivers, with Edelman and some no names now. But Josh McDaniels is one of the best offensive coordinators to do it. And I was so excited to see, they're in New England in this only game 2, and they're still figuring out what they have there, right? And again, in terms of they talked during the broadcast about how Belichick and McDaniels looked back at Cam's Auburn tape to see all the things that he did well, and they incorporated it in that game against Seattle. And you know what they did was, when the game was on the line from the 2-yard line, they lined up to do exactly what you were saying we should be doing, Caesar. They put the ball in Cam's hands in the run game to see if they could stop it. Now, Seattle had some dogs on defense, so they stopped it. But man, it was a great game, and I was just like, this is what I remember about Auburn. It was like watching Auburn's offense all over again, right? Like, and this is the only time I've seen this offense be successful, right? Because, New England's offense was very limited in the past because Tom Brady was no threat to run the ball. And as he got older, and like they clearly did have a commitment to go out and get him, better receivers and and just help, right? So Gronk retired, and with Cam, you've got, young energy, you've got a live arm, and you've got a guy who can pop off for 75 to 100 yards a game in the NFL. That's an insane rushing total for a quarterback, right? And Bo Nix is none of that, right? Like, so I said all that I'll talk about Cam to set this up. He is none of that. So what is Chad Morris going to show us that utilizes Bo's strengths? Has Bo taken the next step, right? I really think that even at home, not having 90,000 people in the stadium is going to help him greatly. I think if this feels like A-Day or practice and he just has to go out there and do what he practiced, I do think that he'll benefit from this new thing called football that we're going to do live in person, right? Especially on the road, because, I don't know if anybody remembers the stats, but he was abysmal on the road. 28% completion percentage on the road last year. So it was a guaranteed L if we were playing on the road. Flat out. Your quarterback completes 28% of his passes. It's going to be hard to win, unless you're running for 400 yards a game, right? So like we've got a lot of questions, right? And all this could be moot if let's say our offensive line is just amazing, right? And they did something with them in the offseason, and the next running back up is, it can hold on to the ball better than Whitlow. There might be some surprises here that I'll be watching, but I'm going to be watching everything around Bo. That's what I'm getting at. I'm watching, how's our O-line play? Our running, a big thing in this offense, right, is, for the running back, for the number one running back, is picking up blocking assignments. You cannot play in this offense if you don't pick up your blocking assignment, because the quarterback is gonna get killed. So I'll be surprised if Chad Morris's scheme is predicated on in that same way, right? If he's got it designed that same way, where again, can our guys just block straight up? Does the running back know what he's doing? Because Whitlow missed some big blocks that got Bo killed last year, right? And I just need to see. It's funny to think. That was a team that was top 10 at a couple points last season, and we finished with as many losses as we did. And this year, I'm just waiting to see, have we taken a step in all those areas? Because on offense, there was a lot to improve, right? They've got the talent. I can't stress enough that they have the talent. Top 10 recruiting classes every year, baby. We've got the talent. They just have to show that they can do something with it. It's happening on defense, but I need to see it at receiver, and I need to see it at O-line. And then I think that if Bo Nix is just a decent game manager, if those two things are well, we'll win a lot of football. We'll have a chance to win every football game. Right.
Yeah. And honestly, that's my sincere hope for Bo Nix is just be a decent game manager. Get the ball in the hands of playmakers. Hopefully Chad Morris again has schemed ways to get guys the ball in places where they're going to be optimal with their talents, whether it's running backs out of the backfield, whether it's using the tight end, whether it's the short passing game, the 50-50 balls with some of these physical receivers that we have. Trust the guys that you have out there, and Bo, just be on time and be accurate. You get back there on the last step of your drop, let the ball be coming out of your hand to a receiver, right? Not holding it and hoping we're going to pre-snap. We're going to do our read. We're going to figure out where the ball should go pre-snap. And we're going to see how they move post-snap and get off of that read if it's not there, and know exactly where your dump down guy is or your next read is. I just want to see that. I want to see him. Boom. Okay, that's not there. Cool. We're going to go here. It's not there. I'm out of there. I don't want to see doing, 360s in the backfield, backing up 10 yards, trying to, make a play every single time.
Because that's not his game. That's not his game.
He tried to make it his game because it worked in high school.
That's
what guys have to realize. The next level dictates that you have to earn the right to be able to do that unless you are an amazing athlete. Everybody is good athletes.
Right. So
you have to be an amazing athlete.
You got to remember, to about the talent that you go up against it, and to your point about high school, right? Like at every high school, you may have one or two D1 prospects. When you get to college, it's nothing but those one or two D1 prospects. When you get to the league, it's even smaller percentage of that, right? Based on percentages, it's like less than 5% of NCAA football players that actually go pro. Right. So when you get to the league, even more so, who are the guys that you see running the ball like that? They're all elite athletes. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Cam is a tank, right? But an elite athlete. And even for somebody like Cam, they're trying to keep him from doing that consistently because it's impossible to stay healthy at that level. Right. Taking that sort of pounding on your body. That's how Tom Brady played all these years. Right. He just did. I don't know if people noticed. He just didn't take hits. He went down, he went out of bounds, he avoided big hits his whole career. And a couple times he did get hit big, out for the season, right? So the SEC is a microcosm of that for Bo, right? You can't do the things you did in high school at this level because you're not an elite athlete. You're a decent athlete, right? And you can move and you can get yourself out of trouble. That 4th and 5 against Oregon in our first game last year, right? That's what we need from Bo in terms of athleticism. Right.
Right.
Get 5 yards, get to the first yard marker, and get down. Straight line running. Avoid the big hit and get down before you get murdered, right? And if he can do that and make decent throws, and I don't want to see a lot of us throwing the ball laterally, fellas. I don't want to see this, right? Like, I don't want to see behind the line of scrimmage screens and things that when they get blown up, put us behind the chains. I think there's enough tape on us for that to work. You need to throw the ball upfield first. And we've been trying to do it backwards for the last couple of years, right? Throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
That actually was the problem last year, is he was trying to break tendency so much early and throw the ball so much without having the scheme of the throws was what was bad. Because, Bo Nix threw the ball a ton last year. He threw the ball way too much for a freshman quarterback throwing the ball. It was ridiculous. And it was a lot of early first and second down throws. It was just, he was trying to break tendency and do a lot of that stuff. It just wasn't schemed properly.
And he didn't have the personnel. He didn't have the personnel.
I don't even think it's a personnel problem so much as not recognizing who your personnel are. Again, you can't be so bullheaded to say, this is what my offense is. We're going to run this. And like you said, the personnel doesn't fit that. And you refuse to change and say, all right, well, let me do something else that puts these guys that I have in a position to be successful. We need to see that. Hopefully Chad Morris can provide that. All right, we've got a little under 20 minutes until kickoff here. Any last words anybody want to say about this game? Anybody want to pivot on a position that they've taken previously? I know I gave a very homer prediction of the score. I'm not going to back off of it, though. I am still going to.
I love it.
Mike G, what was your score?
17-10, and I almost called the upset. I almost called for us to be beat. The homer in me won't let me call for a loss, but I'm going on record as saying that I have very, very little confidence going into this game, based on all the questions that we've addressed over the last 45 minutes. And, if the offense can't go, I expect to see more of what we saw last year, which is 3 and outs, maybe a defensive score, but, the defense gives the offense a short field, so we get an extra touchdown. Right. So, listen, I'm gonna script it out for y'all. Right. Bo has one good drive and we're like, all right, we're about to get started. The next drive stalls. Carlson kicks a 50-yard field goal. Right. The offense 3 and out, punt. And then the defense gives them a short field, so they get a gimme score. And that's how we end up at 17 points. That's what we saw last year. Right, on the road and against better teams, right? And so, if we're to believe the hype about Kentucky, then I have not seen anything in the offseason, my faith in this coaching staff's player management is not in a place that will allow me to believe that they will come out of the gates hot. And the schools that have been doing it, some of them have been playing for the last few weeks in other conferences. Clemson, Oklahoma, they all looked ridiculous to start the season. They looked well prepared, and mind you, they had easier matchups in their week ones because the ACC is still playing people out of conference, right? Like some of them are.
We can take them playing amazing with a grain of salt, number one, because of the talent they're playing against. But number two,
but still,
you're supposed to look good. You're supposed to look good for Clemson against Citadel.
Yeah, but they didn't look sloppy, right? Like they came out, and I'm using the COVID factor and how it took a little bit extra to keep these guys sharp during this time with all the restrictions that they had. So it is somewhat impressive to see what have been the better managed college football organizations over the last few years come out, and it's just business as usual. I expect to see the same from Bama today. I expect them to be to roll right over whoever was it Mississippi State that they're playing?
Missouri,
right? Yeah, I expect that to be a no contest game. Georgia, I'm a little iffy on. I expect them to have a good day. They may start, sometimes they start a little slow, but then eventually roll over you by the second half, right? So, again, the better teams in college football came out and handled business, and we have a tougher matchup on paper because the media has deemed it. So I don't really know how good Kentucky is, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, at this point in the season,
that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, is because we don't really know. We don't know until we see it on the field. We didn't even get to see spring to see kind of how guys were meshing out there. So I'm going to, I'm gonna, let my orange and blue bleed onto my pick today and pick us, what I say, 13-24, 13-27.
yeah, it was
13-27, I
like,
think is what I call it.
yeah, about 14-point deal
So
there.
I'm going to
2
stay
touchdowns.
in that range and hope that it's, what I called earlier, which is a rough first half, and we pull away late with a few late scores to bridge that over into that 14. What you thinking about it, Caesar?
Same score for Auburn, but closer. I got 27-20.
Okay, so you two are lined in a 7-point game.
You just think our offense is going to do much more than I think that it's going to do. Like, I mean,
Right.
I think
cautious
27
optimism
points.
until they show me that they're not going to do it with a brand new coordinator.
Man.
I'm gonna buy into the hype.
I'm the opposite. Until they show me that Gus is not going to meddle and they can do it, I'm not going to buy into the hype.
I feel you.
Fair enough.
I gotta believe in my guys, man.
But I'm saying Gus would give you, by himself, he'd give you 21 points. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying Chad spots you an extra 6. That's all. That's all.
All right,
Even with the meddling.
We will see in about 15 minutes. We're just a little about around 15 minutes until kickoff. What we're gonna have here in the Plains, we've got Kentucky versus Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium. All right, we appreciate.
Can we do something a little different to end the broadcast? Right?
Yeah, what you got?
Okay, I'm just going to end with a prayer. Dear Lord, please reincarnate the spirit of Cam Newton into Bo Nix's body for this game today. We need it. Amen. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. He's gonna need.
I think it's fair.
He's gonna need Cam Newton's body and his spirit in order for that to happen. But anyway,
and while you at it, I need direct deposit of $1 million.
All right,
since you're already in a miracle working mood.
On YouTube, y'all click like and subscribe over there. Of course, you can follow us on social media, The War Rapport on Twitter and Instagram. You're on the Facebook page right now. We are The War Rapport. We now have a TikTok that is TW Rapport. Make sure if you are a TikTok fan that you are tuning in. We will be back at you at halftime with our reactions to the first half of the game. So hopefully you'll see smiles on our faces coming in here in this halftime report, and we'll have done some things that give us optimism regardless of what the score is. Until halftime, we'll see y'all later. We're out. The War Rapport, War Eagle.